Hello ladies and gents, Ghost here, and I'm sure it comes as no surprise what the topic of this video is going to be. Indeed, Final Stand, Operation Whiteout, and all that good stuff. We're going to be discussing that today. It came as a pretty big surprise to me, guys, as I'm sure it did to you, that they have indeed decided to release a map every day for the remainder of this week on the CTE to be tested. I'm sure you guys will have heard about this already, but in case you haven't, then you can go and download CTE if you own Premium and get your hands on Operation Whiteout. In fact, at the watching of this video, it may be the evening and therefore have already switched over to the second map in the rotation. So, if so, you can go check out the second map, I guess. So Operation Whiteout and Final Stand, lots of new stuff, guys, new vehicles, new gadgets, new weapons, new battle pickups, a lot of it. We're also getting 4 new maps, and this is the first of them. Now the first thing that really struck me is the fact that it's all snowy, quite obviously here, and really a throwback to Battlefield 2142. Anyone who's played that game is going to notice lots of little references. I mean, the hover tanks, they are straight out of Battlefield 2142. They're in the game, and as you can see here, they're quite hard to control. The way you actually aim is simply by hovering the tank around, so it's rather difficult. When you move the mouse side to side or your right joystick, your tank will just move side to side really sporadically, and you can see I'm just flipping all over the place. I'm having a hell of a time aiming at infantry. I'm having a hell of a time aiming at tanks, actually, never mind the infantry. It's really quite hard to get the hang of. But if you maybe turn down your sensitivity, it might be a little bit easier. I only got one go in the tank. It spawns over at D flag, so if you want to get your hands on it, you got to take D flag and go and wait over there for the spawn. As you might imagine, there are quite a few people queuing up to get to use it. As far as weapons go, though, it pretty much has the same countermeasures, the same primary and secondary weapon as all of the other tanks in the game. One good thing about this tank, however, is that you're not going to collide with all the potholes and obstacles that are on the ground. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you crash into a wall, you won't just hover over it, but if there are any small pieces of shrapnel or otherwise seemingly insignificant bits and bobs on the floor that would otherwise send your conventional tank spinning around like a spinning top in some weird fashion, that will not happen in the hover tank. And speaking of D flag, this is actually one of my favourite objectives on the map. We only have Conquest available here, but as you can see, it has somewhat of an underground theme. There are walkers being built here. There's also the hover tank construction going on in the background there, hence why the hover tank spawns here. Now, one interesting little evolution thing in here is these doors that you can open and close, and they take a few seconds to close or indeed to open, so it's quite interesting because they beep intermittently, as you can hear there in the background, when you open or close them. So if you want to lock this place down, you can just run around, close all the doors, and if all of a sudden you hear one of them beeping, you see no allies on the minimap, then you know that an enemy is coming through one of them, and he's not just going to appear all of a sudden, you know, it's going to take a few seconds for the doors to open, and he's also aware of the fact that he's making noise, so anybody in there is going to be alerted. So I like it. It's nice to be able to lock it down. However, if all of the doors are open, there are a lot of different ways into this Conquest flag. You can come in from above, you can come in from the side, you can also come in the front doors, which are of course always open. So here we are over at C flag, and this is the one with all the solar panels, and this is everybody's new best toy, or worst nightmare indeed. It's called the SC-42. There are 2 of them as this flag. There are also several others dotted around the map, and you're going to see here just how overpowered this thing is. One shot on the heli there, and, you know, vehicle hit, pilot dead. Is just down, man. It really does not take much at all, and I was just like, whoa, this thing is a little bit overpowered. So if you want to jump in there and have a bit of fun before DICE comes in and nerf it, I suggest doing that pretty soon, guys, because it will be getting nerfed without a shadow of a doubt rather soon. Just seriously, check this out here. The first shot misses there. I didn't realize it had bullet drop. Second one hits for 2. The third one just outright shoots the pilot out of that thing. In fact, it shot 2 guys out of there. The other 2 just bailed down. I was in hysterics when I did that, I have to say. It's just such a hilarious weapon. And to think that they are dotted all over the various Conquest flags. So, you know, not just 2 at this flag. There are plenty of them spread around the map as well. And speaking of new weapons, there are also a couple more things dotted around the level. The stealth bomber is making a return from China Rising. You can find it over at F flag, which I also think is a really, really cool Conquest flag. It's actually a submarine that has been frozen in the lake or the snow or whatever sort of area we're in. It appears that we're in the Antarctic. So yeah, there's this submarine that's just been frozen there. You can see the top little portion of it, and if you climb up a ladder, which is essentially the ladder to climb up to where the observation deck is, you can pick up the stealth bomber from there and call that in. So not really one of my favourite vehicles, but I suppose it's nice to see them use it in more than just China Rising. We also have, of course, the railgun and the MKV. I didn't actually manage to get footage of both of these because both sites for it were just totally camped. There were people just hogging the weapon, and I'm sure you guys have already seen plenty of videos of the railgun in use. It looks really cool. I look forward to using it. The MKV, I don't think it's quite as overpowered as we expected it to be. We actually saw it in a previous trailer and we were like, whoa, that thing just looks like an MAV with some kind of outrageous machine gun on the front of it. And it doesn't really seem to be, you know, that OP. I think it's fairly well balanced. It only lasts for a minute or so, so no big worries there. Now, we also have two new gadgets making it into the game. First of all, the DS3, which actually appears to be available for all classes, which comes as somewhat of a surprise. And essentially, you throw it on the ground, and it will emit a false positioning beacon to the enemy team. So it's essentially like a 3D spotting mechanism, only for the minimap. So I suppose that would make it 2D spotting, wouldn't it? And it would give away a false position, so you know you can bait your enemies to going for it and try and sneak up behind them. As I just oh, I have no words for the SC42, man. It is absolutely insane. Then we have the TDD. I actually told a lie. I said it was two gadgets. It's actually one gadget and one weapon attachment. So this comes instead of your accessory. So instead of a laser sight, which I think is a good idea because I often don't bother using laser sights since they give away your position. I'll usually go for the flash hider. So TDD is a good alternative. It will essentially relay spotting information to your allies' minimaps. So, pretty cool idea. Whenever you aim at an enemy, you can see it on the right of my weapon there with the antenna sticking up. It's essentially going to relay spotting information in a small cone in front of you, depending on who you're looking at. So, you know, that helps with spawning up enemies. You don't have to spam Q quite as much. And I think all in all, it's a fair trade-off for either a laser sight or a flash hider. And last but not least, we have the snow sleds, which are definitely one of my favourite vehicles. They're just so much fun, man. I would even say they're more fun than the motorbikes that came with China Rising and before were, of course, in Battlefield 3. I really like the snow sleds. They're so much fun to bound around on, jump off mountains and just land in the snow. Although they do seem to be a little bit buggy. Sometimes I jump off a mountain, land in powdered snow and spontaneously combust. So maybe that needs to be looked at. I'm not quite sure how that's supposed to be, but nevertheless, they're a lot of fun. Helps you get from the objectives from A to B, no pun intended, in a flash. Although that being said, the good thing about this map is that it's not too huge, so you can walk from objective to objective if you absolutely have to, although snow sleds do spawn at most of the flags, so you can usually get around pretty quickly with those. Do beware though, because they make a hell of a lot of noise, just like the motorbikes, so any enemies at a flag are going to hear you coming a mile off. All in all, guys, I gotta say, I've been having a lot of fun playing Operation Whiteout. Some people have told me that they don't like it. I really like it. There's a lot of flanking routes, actually. First of all, it looks very barren, very open, and, you know, like a sniper's paradise. And there are a lot of snipers up on all of the ridges, all of the mountaintops, don't get me wrong. But there are also many ways to bypass them. So there are underground passages, there are lots of huge lumps of rock and glacier that you can weave in and out of. You can sort of take the long road, if you will, and keep out of sniper fire. But if you just, you know, go as the crow flies from A to B or from objective to objective, yeah, you're probably going to come under sniper fire, so be careful about that. So just quickly before I sign off, two things I wanted to mention. First of all, when the trailer first came out for Final Stand, we got a little tease, and I mean not the one 2 days ago, but the premium trailer, and it showed off the MKV. Also, people were talking about some of the names of the maps, called Walker Factory, which was the original name of the map that somebody found. It's now, of course, called Hangar 21, I believe. I said then, could this be a prelude to 2142? And this was, of course, before we heard about Hardline and before Hardline was confirmed. And since then it was confirmed, so I was like, oh, well, I guess we're not getting, you know, 2143 or anything like that. Which kind of sucked for me because I was looking forward to that. However, this DLC gives me hope. There are so many references to 2142, so could that mean the next Battlefield game is going to be 2143, or maybe even a prequel like 2141 perhaps, who knows. Anyway, leave your thoughts down below on that. I'll leave you with that to think about. Oh, other thing, before I go, I'm going to be live streaming this evening, so that is the 10th of September if you're watching this video today, and I will be doing the new map that's available on the CTE and recording some footage of that in order to make a video on that tomorrow. So if you can come to the live stream, that will be much appreciated and hopefully a lot of fun. Twitch.tv/ghostgaminggg. Hope to see you guys there. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.